Welcome to the Survivor Indianapolis preseason teaser. I don't know what to call this, but you have your crew of Survivor Indianapolis season 3. We're going to reveal the theme and then give some preseason thoughts on who we think is going to do really well. We have no idea. We're probably going to be wrong. Maybe one of us will get the winner right. That'd be really cool. But I would be shocked if any of us get the winner right because it's just hard to do. So for this season, I've been trying, and I probably will in the future, just to tease anybody that listens to this or watches this. I've been trying to do generational themed seasons because that's what Survivor does and has done in the real shows. And last season we did the men versus women dynamic, which has been done twice, I think, in the real show, maybe 3 times. I can't remember, to be honest. Actually, it was 3 times because one of them was old women versus young women versus old men versus young men. So it's been done 3 times. And so we did that last season. This season, we are not going to do the generation like Gen Z versus millennials or Gen X versus Gen Z. What we're going to do is Gen Z versus itself. Survivor has never seen just one small group of ages against itself. So that's our theme. Survivor Indianapolis season 3, Gen Z, accidental rhyme, gotta love it, and our cast. We have 14 players again this year, assuming that nothing changes the next week, which is possible. But if that changes, we're going to try to get back up to 14 if possible. That's kind of the golden number to me, I think. So the cast, we have Brandon Freimeyer, Jacob Wright, Logan Ross, Jaden England, Colin Woolbright, Eric Van Slyke, Sam Luttrell, Ben Brooks. Those are our guys. The girls will have Brooklyn Brown, Hunter Stafford, Sunday England, Ashley Ross, Rebecca Atwood, and Sarah Brooks. So we actually do have more guys than girls this time. It's kind of how it worked out based off of who was able to come and who was not able to come. But it's still close enough that I feel okay with that. The starting tribes. We're going to have our 4 returning players draft their tribes for the first challenge. So we'll have Brandon paired with Brooklyn, and then Jacob paired with Hunter, and they will draw rocks to see who gets to draft first, and they'll draft the tribes. And because the tribes were so locked in place last season, they were very strong. The girls wanted to vote off all the guys, and the guys wanted to vote off all the girls, with only a couple of small exceptions. I thought, you know what? Let's try to do the opposite this season. So what they don't know, not only do they not know they're going to draft their tribes, but what they also don't know is those tribes will not last more than 1 round. I'm going to have them drop their buffs and reshuffle their tribes every single challenge. So hopefully that will create a dynamic where it's not this tribe versus that tribe or this alliance versus that alliance. It will hopefully be a little more fluid. So that's kind of our tease for the season. Hopefully, you're going to see episodic videos coming to this channel. Our goal as a crew here is to be able to video what takes place and then hopefully have like episodic videos of each round of play for not just us to go back and watch and laugh, but have people that were there have something to come back to and watch and see what happened. I think that'll be a lot of fun for them. We will now transition. We're going to give our top 3. And this is just like the 3 people that we think had the best shot at winning the game. So I kind of set you guys up beforehand. And so I'm going to introduce the crew one at a time and have you guys give your top 3 and give any kind of explanation that you would like to give. It's really up to you, whatever you want to say to explain your picks. So we're going to start off with John Crabtree, my right-hand man. John, give us your picks for your top 3.
Okay, so first I want to preface with this season, we have seen the most pregame work we have ever seen.
So much pregame work.
And that is really impacting how my decision goes for my personal top 3, particularly because I've been getting fed a lot of information from multiple people that are players. But my first pick as the top 3 is going to be Jaden England. Second is Brooklyn Brown. And then third, I think I'm going to go with Logan Ross.
Ooh,
I think we've got a real those are three very solid players.
yeah.
There are also three players that are they as it's been, haven't heard any crazy things going on with these players, but I'm very sure that they're working in the underground right now, trying to build alliances in the pregame. But and then we've got certain individuals that are really putting in a lot of work.
Yeah.
Jaden, or not Jaden, but Ben and Brandon, they're putting in the most work. But yeah, I think my three, I'm really proud of those.
To clarify for any players watching this after you've played, um, if we've been given any information, we have not shared that to other players, and we haven't given any information about the game. So like people have asked us questions and pushed for information. I've been asked like, "Hey, do you know there's running tribes?" And I just say yes. And they're like, "Okay, you can't tell me, can you?" I say no. So like no one has been given any extra information, but they know we're involved in the crew. And so they've been saying, "Hey, I was talking to so and so," and we just sit and listen. So there has been pregame like never before. It's actually been kind of crazy to watch people go group up after church and talk for like 45
Paragraphs
minutes.
of texts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Paragraphs sent.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So it's going down. So there's gonna be some drama, I think, which is gonna be fun. But so John, you took again, remind me, Logan, Brooklyn, and
Jaden.
Okay, cool. So I want to try to see at the end who was the most picked. So Alex, you're gonna be next, right?
Yeah.
All right,
So
go ahead.
yeah, so for me, this is interesting. So I'm kind of looking at last year's game since it's really the only experience I have. And so I'm kind of looking at people here that might not have a spouse or someone with them that could maybe team up together. I don't know how these are all going to work, but I'm looking at last year's experience. So my first pick, I had to go with Jacob. Right. I think that learning from last year a little bit is going to help him. I think we saw that with people that played the previous seasons. It helps them. I'm just a little bit afraid that Jacob might be overthinking this from what I've heard from him. So it's a very risky pick, but I'm going to stick with it. I think if he gets these two players to get with him, it could help him. My next one, and I think this guy might win it all, is Eric. I think Eric's a dark horse candidate. He's athletic. He can do a lot of that stuff. Very smart too. So I think people might not realize it. He's kind of quiet, but I think that's going to help him in the long run. I think he could have a similar run that Michael had last year. And then someone I think that'll follow in suit with those two is my brother-in-law, Colin. I actually think he's a strategist and he overthinks everything, but he's super athletic too. I think because he's friends with those two guys, he could really team up with them and ride that. I thought about putting Ben here in my top three because Ben's interesting, but I think Ben's going to dig himself a hole and get himself voted off. So I think Colin, because he's quiet enough, but knows enough of the people playing.
All right. So some good picks so far. Six different people.
Yeah, I know.
So we're all over the board so far. So I love it. Okay, Chris, give us your top three.
So I think my third pick is going to be Jacob Wright. Made it all the way to the end with me, and I think he didn't push hard enough for the win last time. And I think he's learned his lesson, and I can tell he really wants to win. He's a competitive guy, athletic, smart, all the things you would want. So I'm going to go with Jacob. For my second pick, this person has all the tools to win it all. Logan Ross is going to be my second pick. I think he's a social person, social player, and he's also athletic and smart and everything. And then my first pick is not only thinking about who's going to be good at Survivor, but also who's the most attractive candidate. So my first pick is going to be Brooklyn Brown, but she comes into the Survivor game. I think she flies under the radar. She's a super likable person, and I think has some. If I'm looking at this list, if I think of one person who's connected with a lot of other people through different ways, I think Brooklyn is. And that can work against you sometimes, but I think also she's not this person who's going to come out guns blazing. As far as I know, she might, but I think she can slide under the radar, make it to the end, and then people will just want to vote for her. So that's who I think is going to win. So I got three. I got Jacob, two, Logan, and then one, Brooklyn.
Love it. Awesome. Okay. Brooke, give us your three.
Okay, I want to preface this by saying the 3 that I think are going to make it are not the 3 that I want to make it.
Okay.
Can I say the 3 that I want to make it to the final 3
Yeah, sure.
as well? Okay, so
Hunter.
the 3 I want, yeah, Hunter, obviously, Rebecca, and Brooklyn.
Okay.
There's a little bit of overlap because I think Brooklyn will make it to the final 3. And then along with her, Logan and Eric.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have anything else to add after Alex and Chris talked about
Yeah.
Eric and Logan because they're
Same.
both right.
Yeah. Okay. That leaves me and Christian. Christian, go ahead and give us your top 3 then.
So I think there are definitely a lot of really strong competitors in the field this year for Survivor. There are a lot of women that are involved in this team as well that I haven't been as familiar with going forward. That I definitely think stand a strong chance of making it really, really far. Chris Bruin, for one, had a really strong game last year, and I think that she's going to make it really, really far. I don't know whether or not she will make it all the end or not, but who does? It's Survivor. I think my top 3, though, I agree with a lot of what some of the other people have already said. I think Eric is going to be kind of the dark horse in this one. Kind of the one who no one is going to expect. Like it's already been said, he's super smart, he's super likable, but he's also kind of understated and knows when to hang back, but also is competitive and knows when to kind of step it up and assert himself in situations. I think that'll go a long way for him. I also think Logan is going to be a really strong player in this. He knows how to play the politics game. He knows how to build those social alliances and those people, and and build a team around him that's going to help him succeed. And then I also for the third pick, I've kind of been going back and forth between a couple of different people, but I think another one that stands a really, really good, strong chance at winning is Jacob. I do agree. I think he kind of learned his lesson last year and played a little bit passive at the end when he really should have stepped up. And I think that's what ultimately cost him the game. And by the time it's a little bit too late, because Chris had already kind of had him in a corner. But I think he did kind of learn his lesson, and it'll either paint a target on his back that he went so far, or it will serve him very well going into close.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so I'm having a hard time with my 3. I know who I think. If you said David pick 3 people, where you have to pick the winner amongst those 3, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And in my head, I'm like, well, how do they get there together? Well, we're not worrying about picking the final 3. We're trying to pick the winner. So I would say my number 3, I'm going to pick Brandon, because if all of his heinous schemes pay off somehow and work, then he's going to win. If he can do them all and no one's like really bitter at him, or he puts people next to him that also were a part of his schemes, and so they're just bitter at everybody, so they just pick the one that's like play the best game or whatever. I don't know. But like if you said like, try to pick the winner amidst these 14, you get 3 shots to pick the winner. He'd be my number 3. Okay. My number 2, I'm going to pick Eric. I think that I would never have thought this, but he's brushing up on his Survivor. Like he's watching some Survivor stuff. He is talking to different players. From what I can tell, he should be, out of the guys, probably the one that could go wherever he really wants to. He has connections with some of the couples. He has connections with the single people, or not people that aren't playing with their spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. So he, I think, has lots of options. And if he can find the option that gets him to the end, I think that he can play the Michael game and maybe put the finishing touches on it if someone like Chris isn't sitting next to him. But we're getting off topic, because my number 1 is Brooklyn. So that's my winner pick. I she, like Chris said it just right, she is by far the most connected. She's gonna have all these options. Now, I do have a hard time seeing like if she wants to work with some of the couples, where she has to know when to cut them, and then if she cut them and not have them be too bitter at her. There's some questions there. I know there's people targeting the couples. I don't know if that's enough, if it's enough people for it to matter. But like that could come back to bite those people. But I know that Brooklyn is kind of just like trying to make connections. I don't, from what I can tell, and I can be wrong, I don't think she's necessarily making plans. I think that if you're looking at connections and being likable, and if anyone can stab somebody in the back and still get their vote, it'd probably be someone like Brooklyn or Rebecca. So I'm gonna go, or maybe Hunter, but I'm gonna go with Brooklyn for my number one. So that means that Logan and Brooklyn both got 4 picks out of the six of us, and then Eric and Jacob both got 3 picks out of the 6 of us. So those are the top 4 finishers out of our picks. I'm a little too worried about the couples being targeted, and once that starts, will Logan be able to skate through? I think he kind of has to work with the couples, with Jaden and Sunday, like especially. And if he can do that to get far enough to win a couple challenges towards the end and get his way to the end, then he can definitely win. But I could just see him being too big of an obvious threat right away. I can see him and Jacob being too big of an obvious challenge and strategic threats. And then Brandon, if he's scheming too much, can be too big of a scheming threat there too. I think Jacob might overplay. I hope not, because he was right there at the end. And I think he learned some good lessons. I just don't want him to overplay, because if he overplays, it's going to be over. So if you had to pick between the 2 top vote getters as your winner pick, Logan and Brooklyn, who would you pick? I'm going to go with, obviously, one that I picked was Brooklyn. So I'm going to stay with her. Brooke, who would you pick?
Brooklyn, hands down.
Chris?
Gotta be Brooklyn.
Alex?
I'll go Logan.
John?
Go for a 3-peat. It's going Brooklyn.
Okay. Chris? Or not Chris. Christian?
Honestly, you convinced me, Brooklyn. You convinced me.
So we have our top, we have, through the 6 of us, picked 7 people: Logan, Jaden, Brooklyn, Jacob, Eric, Colin, and Brandon. So yeah, I think between the top 4 vote getters from us were Logan and Brooklyn with 4, Jacob and Eric with 3. Some pretty good picks. And so with that, I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I'm excited to work with you guys. If you're watching this, look forward to seeing episode 1 of Survivor Season 3, Gen Z, hopefully coming pretty soon.